Typically, the process of putting a pro wrestling match together is a collaboration. But what do you do when the process proves to be less than collaborative, or the person you are paired with to make pro wrestling proves a bit difficult? I'm Mike Quackenbush, this is Till We Make It, and today on the program, I want to cover something that came up twice in recent online seminars I happen to be doing right here from the floor of the Wrestle Factory. And although they were asked in two very different ways, they seem to speak to the same core concept. Most of the time, professional wrestling performances are assembled when two people get their ideas together to formulate what the end product will look like by the time that it takes the ring. And yet, there are some occasions when this entire process is less than collaborative. And I can think of two very good examples where that might be the case. Up first, I can think of examples from my own career where I have been asked to assemble the entire match so that whomever I was performing with could hear a bit of my process. And I've also been part of that flipped around. I have wanted to see how another performer, whose work I admire and respect, goes about putting the entire performance together, so that I get a bit of a learning experience. So in an example like that, even though the process is proving to be less than collaborative, I do think it is exceptionally beneficial. If you have the chance to sit under the learning tree of someone who is senior to you in professional wrestling, or who has a body of work that you admire, that's really valuable information and a great way for you to learn and grow. And a second scenario I can readily imagine in which the process of putting the match together would prove to be less than collaborative is when someone asks of you to please put the match together. And I can think of at least two occasions in my career where I was working with someone of nigh legendary status who asked that of me, saying basically, I've done this 1,000 times, it's one of my least favorite parts of doing the job. If you would put it all together and then just tell me the finished product, that would be a great relief. And as a service to them, I was more than happy to do so. And I can think of a third scenario in which this would not be the least bit unusual. What if the person you are performing with is coming late to the event? They're coming from another booking that they've got where they've been delayed for some other reason. There may not be time before the match takes the ring to engage in that collaborative process. And in those instances, it will be up to you to put it all together and then be ready to deliver it as soon as they arrive on site. However, this can also tread into other territory, right? What happens when you come up against someone who is simply opposed to the idea of being collaborative? They would rather hand everything over to you already finished without any of your creative input. And that can be a difficult scenario to navigate. So I don't mind telling you, from my own experience, I've absolutely come across wrestlers who have a match set, and that is the performance, the way that they like it to be done every single time, and the idea of deviating from that makes them a bit nervous. But that is a rare scenario, and I'll give you my tip for how you might be able to open them up to the idea of at least hearing your ideas. Whenever I'm walking into a situation where I know I am paired with a wrestler who is notorious for being reluctant to accept creative input from others into the end product, my approach is always to try and have a conversation that feels person to person, not pro wrestler to pro wrestler. So I approach it in this manner. From the very outset, I will break the ice with something like this. Hi, I'm Mike. I'm so looking forward to wrestling with you later on. I've even got a few ideas I would love to run past you when you've got a moment. Yes, you will come across some difficult personalities in wrestling, but if you can be both polite and congenial from the outset of your interaction with them, if you can just speak to them like another person, even if they're someone of legendary stature, someone with massive star power, or someone that intimidates you, don't be afraid to speak to them in a friendly manner. From the very first interaction, if you can be friendly and polite, I think you're going to open lots of doors. And I do appreciate that in some extreme cases, that may be insufficient to get things done. So, what then? Like so many situations that can prove difficult to navigate in the world of professional wrestling, this calls upon your diplomacy. Can you go about being a good diplomat, even with someone that evinces a somewhat difficult personality. I can think of an occasion from my own career. I was in Birmingham, Alabama, more than 20 years ago now that I'm saying it out loud, and I was confronted with a situation like this. Someone of rather legendary stature came up and said, "Kid, this is the match, this is what we're doing, and I'll see you out there." And I had been so looking forward to this, and I knew that I had ideas that I wanted to contribute. I was never going to be content just taking that wholesale. I had to make some effort to at least have my ideas heard. Did that mean they were all going to be agreed to? Probably not, but I did want them to be heard. And so, just to get that collaboration flowing a little bit, just to open the conversation to the idea that something more might be added to the match, I said this: hey, I take a terrific back body drop. If you wanted to make that part of the comeback, I could make you look awesome. What do you think? And you know what? He agreed. He loved the idea of the back body drop. And then before you knew it, he had opened himself up to the idea of collaborating on creating other parts of the match as well. I certainly appreciate there is no single solution that's going to work in every single scenario. However, I know if you can initiate an interaction with someone who you know might be reluctant to fully engage in the collaborative process, open up by being polite and friendly from the outset. And if that does not get you the result that you're looking for, don't be afraid to engage your diplomacy a little bit to see if you can't get them to at least open up to your ideas. I hope that you found this video to be useful, and if so, make sure that you subscribe to my channel till we make it. You can like this video and leave a comment down below for your suggestions of things that we might cover in an upcoming video. Because we make so many of these, I always need your suggestions. You can drop them for me below.